Okay, as I was saying before, this is a 2006 Honda Odyssey RES. It's got a leather package and all that. The power steering, high pressure power steering hose that goes right there, that goes into the rack and pinion that helps you steer. That guy right there is what's hard to take out. It's real difficult to get a what do you call it, like a brake line flared wrench in there, because you don't have very much room. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it off and then go from underneath the car and put a half-inch 14mm on there and hope I can take it off. I mean, that's just the way. And I'm going to use an oscillating saw. Hopefully, I'm hoping I can get it into that space that's right there. But the hose goes around the back and then comes up right here. And so that's the hose, and it's leaking. It's kind of hard to see, but it's starting to leak. And so I just don't want to have any issues with it. And the van's got about 128,000 miles on it, and it's still good. It's running really well. It's probably going to have to do some stuff with the struts here in the next month or 2 months or whatever. But anyway, I'm not gonna videotape the whole thing because there's several other videos online, but definitely I will use a oscillating saw to cut that pipe down there. Alrighty, later. All right, so I got the oscillating saw in there. Here it is, right here. It's already in there, so you can get a saw in there. You know, they may make some smaller ones, and I do have it in there, and I just need to plug it in, cut the pipe, and then from underneath the car, I got to come up. I'll raise the car, put some jack stands underneath it, and from underneath it, take the bolt out. But it's in there. This is a saw. I'm moving it. Y'all can see it right there. And so once I start on this and I cut through, I'm committed. So. All right, I'll be back. Okay, it took all of. See if I can get it to focus right there on the. Come on, camera, focus. Right. It just doesn't want to focus that close. So let me go back a little bit. But it took about 30 seconds for the blade to go right through it. It was no problem. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can put my finger there. Well, it's going to be hard to see, but that's the pipe right there, the one with like the little purple. And yeah, it just went through it real quick. And the oscillating saw that I'm using is this one right here. It's a Honeywell, and it's a wood. The blade says something like wood and metal, bimetal, and it just went right through it. And so anyway, you just got to be careful that you don't cut through any other pipes that are there, like specifically your brake lines. So. All right, so now I gotta jack the car up and undo the bolts and all that. So taking it out's not a big issue, or taking out the rest of the pipe. It's taking that bolt out, and I'm going to use probably a half-inch type socket wrench and stuff, and I'm hoping that will make my job easy. I'll let you guys know. All right, later. Okay, real quick, just an overview. What I did was I sucked out all the power steering fluid from here using this setup. I can't remember where I bought this from. Okay, you can just look up syringe, I guess, on I guess a Google search, and I may have bought it at Amazon, I can't remember. Anyway, it's worked out really cool. So I sucked it all out, and then what you do is you turn on the car, and kind of release a lot of the pressure. This is the high pressure line that's going back. So now I am going to replace this hose right here. It's kind of hard to see. This hose comes from this reservoir, and it tends to get brittle, and then it leaks from right underneath the hose right here. There's a little plastic elbow here, and there's also the pressure, or I'm sorry, the elbow here has an O-ring, and that O-ring tends to get hard. So if you're seeing a lot of leakage, more than likely it's this guy and the washer or the O-ring that's back here. These two are the two nuts I got to release right here. This one and that one. The new pipe or the new hose comes with an O-ring here. Then right back here, right, like I'm feeling it. Let's see, feeling it right here. Yeah, right back here. If you follow the hose, there's a little clamp that clamps onto the head back there. It rather screws in, so you got to undo that. Then underneath the car, right underneath the engine, you got to jack it up, and there's two 10 millimeter bolts that you got to undo, and that will loosen that whole hose. Now, there is a high pressure switch on this guy back there, and you do have to. It's kind of low at the bottom. You do have to undo that before you start pulling it up, because if you pull it up, man, you're gonna break that that connection, and then then your day's not gonna go very well. Okay. So I'll do all that underneath. It's hard for the room that I have here to bring you guys along and stuff, but I'll show you guys the hose, the new one, when I'm putting it together and stuff. But we do have to take off that pressure sensor and stuff. And so, anyway, that's where I'm going with this. Okay, so that's the hose that I took out, and I'm trying to see if y'all can put on a glove here. It's not going to touch that, but what I ended up doing was cutting the pipe right here, right? And this is the, see if this will focus. This is the, it's a typical brake, like a brake line flare nut that goes in, so the pipe goes through here. And I couldn't get my 14, I could get my 14 on it, my, what they're called brake line nut, but I couldn't get the leverage to take it off. So I cut it, and then I took a half-inch 14 long socket, and then I put my half-inch, got underneath the car, and I did have to put a little bit of, I think it was a little bit tighter than, I think it's like 39 Newton meters or something. And there it is, okay? And that comes off of here, right there. And then over here, these are two 10 millimeter screws that go like right underneath where the motor mount is. There's some screws there, and that holds this, so that these two hold that down, and you have to put these guys back. You got to remove these, because these are going to go back on the new one. And then I have to remove this pressure switch right here. You got to be real careful with it to get it off of there. So you'll probably hold it this side with a crescent, and then get a real thin wrench in here and pop it open. And then this guy right here, this brace, we'll have to open it up, take it off, and put it on the new one. And then there is a right here at the end of this guy, there is a what do you call it, an O-ring. And I want to say that it already comes with this O-ring, but it does not come with this O-ring over here, so you got to order this O-ring. All right, so that's where I'm at, and I did pull it out through the top. I kind of wiggled it out. You got to be real careful with this guy, because it wants to get caught in there. So you got to, it gets caught with some hoses and stuff, and you got to be real careful to not just pull on it, because if you break that, then you're into, I don't know how much this costs, $90 or something. So, and that's a that is a Honda dealer part only, I would assume. So, okay, and let me see if I can get the new hose. And of course, I did order an OEM original Honda part. And so this is it right here. That's the new one right there. And I'm just hoping that I'm not going to have any issues putting it back in there. I shouldn't. So, all right, and it's just real hard to be videotaping that. I wish my buddy was here. I'm sure he would have showed up, but I just got to get it done, you know. And this guy's leaking. It's seeping from right here. Oh, let me go down.
Again, that's great.
It's seeping from right here. That's where it's seeping from. So, all right, I'll be back after a while.